Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to The Small Guy on Main Street. We are primarily a podcast, but we are starting to implement the full interview recordings here on YouTube. This interview is with Vanessa, one of the owners for the Beauty Lounge in Norwalk, California. Their address is 13938 Pioneer Boulevard, Norwalk, California, 90650. This video is relatively short compared to the audio that's on the podcast, and that is because I had video technical issues. Their business is still young, but it's growing. They were able to survive the pandemic shutdown, and they're always constantly improving their skills and the environment there at the beauty salon. More information will be available on the description to get in contact with them. Now, again, you could go ahead and listen to the full interview at the Small Guy on Main Street podcast, and you can find that wherever you get your podcasts at. Thank you. Now enjoy the episode. Thank you for tuning in. Today, I am here with one of the owners, Vanessa Perez, of the Beauty Lounge in Norwalk, California. How are you, Vanessa?
I'm great. How are you?
Very great. It's not bad of a day, right? It's for California.
It's not raining, so that's a bonus.
That's a bonus.
Yeah.
But it's coming.
I know. I'm a little sad about it. I don't want to be out in it, and it's going to be all week, so it delays my workflow.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
It's, okay. So, you are a hairdresser.
Right.
What else? What other services do you?
So mainly I'm a hairstylist. Like I'm a colorist. Mm-hmm. I specialize in hair coloring extensions. I am not to toot my own horn, but toot. I'm really good at like matching someone's color to their extensions. It's not an easy thing for people. If you've seen old pictures of Jairo and Britney Spears, I've mastered that. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm sought out for a lot, is my ability to match color and apply extensions.
And now when you mean matching color, right, is it because these extensions that you got or whoever got, they come off from the manufacturer at a certain color and you have to...
Correct. A lot of times, depending on what is purchased, if you go on the cheaper side, you're kind of running a risk of having them tinted with like fabric dyes and things like that. So it's my job to kind of figure that out. And also, you bring me an inspiration photo or, video, whatever it may be, and I can mimic that on the canvas that you bring me. So for most of the time, or most instances, I can do it unless it's just like trashed beyond. But that's kind of like my niche.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I also saw blondes. Is that...
Yeah.
You
so
are...
I can blonde with the best of them. I can make you platinum if you have the money to invest in it. Yeah.
And that's something you also mastered. How's that?
Correct. I've spent a lot of time and money. I've invested in my education to be able to do all of these things in a very safe manner, because you see a lot of disaster work out there, fried hair and things like that. And you can see it in the street. You can see it, things that, melted off. And I've taken a lot of time into dedicating and perfecting my craft and being able to do that. Because it's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do. It's not something that everyone can do. So I'm pretty proud of my abilities to take people to these levels.
Now, okay, let me ask this. You're a professional. You've done this for several years, right?
20
years. Now, you could catch these things.
Right.
But how does the public know? How can they see and know like this was a good outcome or not? Because you have the eye, you've been doing it, right? And you got the education. How can they know?
How can they know? I can't say a certain something for certain. So if you see a bad job, it's because their hair is broken off and it's extremely dry. It looks like a broom. I don't know how else to
I
explain
used
it.
the broom. Like I kind of see that picture.
Do you? Yeah. Do you get what I'm saying? It looks like a used up broom with fraying everywhere.
Wow.
So you can kind of see that it's not something that you need to be a professional to know. You can see it. You can know. You would know. But as a professional, it's just a little. I don't even know what word to use. When you see those things out there and think like, man, I could have done a better job.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
what can you do?
No, that's true. Have you gone to approach persons? I mean, it might be difficult to kind of give them some information on what happened, but not insult them. Is there a way you could kind of approach that situation?
I'm sure there is. I'm not that person.
You're not.
I'd rather not say anything because, I learned if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. And I'm very like, oh man, they fucked you up.
Yeah.
That type of mentality.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't think before I speak. So I'm like, oh man, I could have done it better. I'd rather not say anything. Right. If I'm asked, then by all means, I'm going to give you my opinion. But, that's just how I try not to, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of different scenarios that could have led to that point. For instance, they weren't honest with their hairstylist about their previous work they had done. Mm-hmm. They could say, I haven't had my hair dyed in 2 years. Well, yeah, but you still have color in it, and it takes longer than 2 years for that to grow out. And there's a lot of different scenarios in terms of like why that happened. And I'm not going to assume that the hairstylist just did a bad job.
Yeah.
They could have done it at home and think that they're able to do this because they've seen one person have great results. But that's one thing with, I feel like, social media and having access to the internet and all of these things is that a lot of people think, oh, I could do that because one person had really great results. There's a lot of home haircuts going on and yeah, it looks great, but they're never going to be able to do it better than we can. That's the truth. But again, there's a lot of different scenarios behind what led up to that outcome. So it's not my place to assume, but if I'm asked, then okay, I will gladly give my advice. I'm very much that person that will talk to anybody in the store. And like, if I'm asked, I will, how'd you get that hair color? Well, you know what? It's freaking extensions. I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah. My hair is trashed because I don't follow my own advice. But yeah, that's kind of how that comes about. I won't just offer it up if that answers your question.
No, that's what I was looking for. So this is what you do is artistic.
Right.
I mean, how did this get started? Did you have an artistic early, childhood, or how?
So I'm going to say that I won't say that I was artistic in the sense of like art wise and things like that, but it was something about hair cutting, hairstyling that always drew me to that. So much so that I remember my mom saying before, when I first got involved with like wanting to go to school and all of that, she was like, I should have known that you were going to be a hairstylist because all of your dolls were like chopped. Like they had bangs or they had like marker. And, I was very much into like the makeup and the hair and all that stuff. So yeah, I remember her saying that she should have known for that reason.
Yeah.
I was that kid.
Well, I mean, maybe it was something you saw that needed to be improved, right?
Right.
I mean, whatever, if it was a Barbie doll, like, how the hell they send you out like this?
Right.
Let me fix you
You
up.
need bangs.
Yeah. No, it could have been.
Yeah, it could have been.
So, wow. That's
yeah.
Interesting. But what got you into beauty, like into actual service, right?
Into going to school and all that.
Right. I mean,
so I was a little hesitant at first because I feel like we're always conditioned to be like, you have to work. School isn't such a, it wasn't such a huge push for me growing up. It was more so, well, like, if you're not going to go to school, you need to work, which I've been working since I was 15. And I haven't stopped ever. But when I decided to go to school, like I said, I was hesitant and didn't just go right out of high school because I got a lot of negativity from some individuals. One person went so far as to say, like, you don't want to do hair. Only losers do that. And I was like, well, okay. Like, it kind of, it impacted me negatively in the sense that I didn't continue and just say, like, I'm going to go straight out of high school or whatever. And I think, like, man, I could have been doing this earlier. So I was a little bit older when I went to Cosmo School. And one of the reasons that stuck in my head, my dad was like, don't listen to that lady. Like, you can do it.
Yeah.
He was like, you should. But it still was something that stayed in the back of my mind. Like, only losers do hair. That sucks, you know?
Right.
And then a lot of the times growing up, you see just these little mom and pop salons that are just, you know, struggling. You hear that. Well, yeah, it's not so busy and it's not a stable industry and, you know, you don't have a steady income. Like, well, no, you have to work at it. So once I finally did get the courage to be like, you know what, this is it. It just stayed with me. I just always went back to that. Like, I really want to do it. I really want to do it. And I did. And it was the best decision I ever made because I never looked back. I remember one of my beauty school instructors telling me, like, I always knew you were going to stick with it. Like, you just know, being in the, you know, in this field, you know, there's certain people that'll just let it go.
Yeah.
You know, I think out of my group, there's only 2 of us that do hair out of like 20 people. Yeah. So it's something that people think is really easy. But when they realize, like, you really have to work at it, it's something that they just, oh, you know what? Yeah, I hear that a lot. Oh, yeah, I'm licensed, but I don't practice, you know? But I think for me, it was mainly just getting out of my own way and being like, no, this is what I want to do, and ignoring those negative, you know, voices saying, like, you don't want to do that. Only losers do, or that's not steady, or you should try to be a nurse or do this or do that. Well, yeah, but it's not what drives me. It's not my passion. So here I am 20 years later, you know? Ha ha.
Right. Yes. I guess.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
No, that's fine. But okay, you're always gonna face resistance, right? And
Right.
on anything you do, and even in beliefs, right? But this industry has changed
A lot.
a lot.
A lot.
How do you see it? Like 20 years ago, right? You started Cosmo
Right.
about 20 years ago, and that I remember. I mean, haircuts were cheap, and it was basic stuff that they will do, right? The services and
Correct.
and the talent wasn't fully there. How do you see that? How has that changed?
In terms of like the basics and the core is the same. So I think everyone thinks you go to beauty school, you come out and you're going to master everything. You know everything. No. You go to learn to pass your state board, and then you still have to like learn everything. Now, in my time when I went to beauty school and I came out and I was working, it was very much, you kind of went word of mouth. That's how you build your clientele. You know, word of mouth it's still my best form of like,
Always been the best, I think.
yeah, it hasn't gone away. But in terms of how it's changed, it's the social media aspect, because I still had a freaking portfolio when I started, and I was like taking like physical pictures, and I had a digital camera, and I was doing all those things because that's where we were at. Then as time went on, now it's the big draw is like social media being the, you know, the draw. People want to be viral and they want to, you know, grab attention that way. But I think that's the biggest change as far as how, well, I'm not going to say the biggest, but one of the biggest. Also the technology in product, because when I first started, again, there was so many things that were like, man, that's strong, or man, that's burning my eyes, or man, that's burning my scalp. And all of these old wives' tales too, like, no, don't wash your hair because you need your oils to protect you from the color. And things have changed by leaps and bounds. And it's like the product is so much better, and, you know, it's way more expensive. But as far as like products and things like that, it's grown like immensely. I think there was like 6 color lines that I remember, like big ones. And now like everyone has product, everyone has color lines, everyone has lighteners, everyone, you know, and everyone's trying to outdo each other. But the technology, because, yeah, I remember messing some stuff up before, you know what I mean? We all go through our
learning stages.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
And that is the route, or for a business owner, entrepreneur.
Right.
You're going to start off somewhere.
And let me say, as a hairstylist, other hairstylists can relate. It still keeps me up at night when I think about some of the stuff that I did. And I'm like, man, I can't believe I did that.
Okay. It was done. You learned from it.
I learned from it.
We improved.
I've improved. Yes. I wouldn't still be here if I hadn't improved.
Yeah, those nightmares will probably eat your life.
Yeah.
Wow, that's good. But so you went against the grain, or the people around you, you know, are giving you the
support,
right? The proper support. So that was hard as it is, right? That you believing in yourself, you seeing this as for what it is, and it may be a career or a job. Did you first started working for somebody, and they gave you the kind of the assistance there?
Yes. So I started off as an assistant. I worked at a salon that had like 21 stations, and the owner was super busy. I lived in Compton, and I would go all the way to Hacienda Heights. I learned a lot from that man. I was there for like 5 years. It was a lot of fun. That's one thing I have to say. Like, I've always had fun everywhere I've worked. I've made a lot of great relationships. But yeah, in the beginning, I started off as an assistant. And I will say he's how I learned a lot of my extension techniques and things like that. So even 20 years ago, like a lot of those things that were old school, they're still very much prominent in the new things. Like there's a lot of different new techniques that simplify the techniques, but for the most part, its core is very much like back to those basics. So I'm really grateful for that experience. He ended up firing me for like the dumbest crap, but hey, you know what? It was a learning experience again, and I don't hold any grudges. I learned a lot from him, and then I moved on from there, and that's kind of, I feel like, what pushed me to become a little more independent in my career path, because I did learn a lot from him. He was the salon owner, and he had several successful salons, and he would kind of build them up. And I want to say built up stylists and business owners, and then would sell them to them. So like I said, I learned a lot from him. He was a smart guy. So that, I feel like, pushed me to become a little more independent in what I had learned, and gave me the ability to say, like, I can do this, because I had picked up those tips from him, kind of seen in the background. Also taught me how to work like a lot, as far as taking multiple clients at a time, which a lot of now is not as common. And it's not something that I practice now, because I feel like I need to work smarter, not harder. But yeah, that was the beginning where I decided that well, not that I decided, they decided for me, like, girl, you got to go.
They put you out there. And
They put me out there into the world.
Yeah.
But I kind of took it as like, I outgrew them.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
At first it was devastating because, you know, your friends are there. I made, like I said, really great relationships who I'm still friends with them to this day. But I had to get out. Like I outgrew them, and it pushed me to a different realm in terms of what I could do with my independence and go independent and say, I can rent from you. I have the clientele. It was the discipline that I lacked because at a young age there, I was making really good money. So to go from that to kind of being on my own where, oh crap, I'm not getting fed these clients. I got to retain them myself and bringing in new ones. It was really scary, but I did it. And it was probably the best thing he could have done for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I see. Well,
In terms of growth.
right. Of course, you learn how to swim
Right.
or get eaten by the sharks, right?
Right.
So, I mean,
Exactly.
and either
Sink or swim.
Yeah, you're gonna put yourself out there, but who knows? That could have even been another 5 years until you felt ready, until you felt you had enough confidence. But then those other 5 years, you could have still been the assistant. Who knows what it would have gone?
Well, thankfully, he was very good at like, you're ready to go out on your own. He was not a gatekeeper in terms of like holding you down. He very much wanted to give you your chair and put you out there. I will say that he was very good at like, I think I was assisting him for maybe 6 months and he was like, you're good. This station's going to be for you. Here's clients. He would feed me clients. I still have some of those clients till this day.
Wow.
Yeah, I have a lot of clients that I've been doing for well over 15 years from that salon. They followed me everywhere I've gone. So, I mean, that says a lot about me, I think.
Of course.
In terms of like,
they keep coming back to this, you know.
Right. But yeah, for the most part, I will say that he was not a gatekeeper in that sense. But I think a lot of times when things like that happen, where you have a person that will kind of keep you, or if you stay in those situations, you kind of lose your passion for your job or your craft because you feel like, you know, this person's holding me down, or I'm just not happy here. So you take that as not being happy in your career, in your craft, because management is a big, huge factor when it comes to your passion for your craft.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion.
Well, not many. Well, there's a few managers, right? A few supervisors that will do the effort to train you properly and to make you independent, right? But others, they just want you to do A and B. That's all you're gonna do. That's what they need you for. And if you don't do anything to do about it, you're gonna get stuck doing that.
That's exactly it.
And he sound like he was, oh no, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this, you're gonna be, you know, well-rounded, and you're gonna know everything. And that's a very good teacher.
Yeah.
Right.
He was an asshole in a lot, excuse my language. He was an asshole in a lot of ways. But for the most part, I learned a lot from him. Yeah.
No, he sounded like he had a lot in his plate. Mm-hmm. Business owner, he'll train, he'll manage. Sounds very successful.
He was.
He
still is.
Kept in contact with him?
I mean, there's no bad blood there. Mm. I think once he asked me to come back, like, oh, you want to come back? But I was like, no. I mean, we just happened to run into each other. But yeah, no, I've moved on since then, and I wouldn't go back. My whole thing is like, I'm forward moving. Like, there's no going back for me.
Makes sense.
Like I said, it was sad for me to leave and all that, but it was the best thing for me. I wish him nothing but the best, because like I said, my whole thing was like, I always thought like I didn't have a mentor, but no, I would say he was in a lot of ways. And then the bonus, like, he was Raza, he was like from Mexicali, and I was like, look at this guy, came here and like
American dream.
Did exactly that. Yeah. So it was nice to see that and have that to kind of like, work on.
Right. Somebody you could relate to and be an inspiration. And however he was, if he could do it, I could do it. It's going to obviously take training. It's going to take discipline.
Right. Yeah. I'm actually really surprised that I'm talking about him because I never really thought of him as a mentor until I'm sitting here talking about it.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
he, for that small part in your life, he played a great
Exactly.
influence.
In the beginning of my career.
And that
to
was
kind of,
critical. That was vital.
it was very critical. I kind of feel that way for a lot of things. Like you need to find someone that will to mentor you and like, or for you to look up to it, you know, for any career, any industry. There has to be someone that motivates you or someone that you, even if it's not within your industry, but someone that makes you feel like I want to be there.
Now, I agree with you that as we take up on new journeys, right, we don't know everything, right? And there's
Right.
people that have gone through that, right? Now,
Right.
sometimes some entrepreneurs, they choose a whole new route. So they're figuring this out by themselves, right? 100%. And how would you say somebody could try to reach, I mean, people or find mentors, right? Because we have social media, which
Right.
makes it easier to try to find people, right?
It is, yeah.
Do you think there's other methods? You think you could find some kind of mentors or somebody?
Yeah, I mean, I think that looking within your own industry, finding, for instance, someone that has a successful business. I feel like a lot of times, a lot of people are afraid to reach out and be like, hey, I really like what you do. I'd like to be involved, or I would like to learn from you. It's not common. I feel like, even like I said, within our industry, there's a lot of people who have this misconception because social media gives you that instant gratification that I'm going to get out there and I'm going to do it and I'm going to be successful right away. I just need to make a viral video. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It gives you that false sense of like,
but overnight success does not happen
it's
overnight.
not very common.
Yeah.
And then what good is that? Because the next day there's going to be someone who just outdoes you and goes even more viral.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I kind of feel like looking for these little mom and pops, these little places that have been around for a really long time that have like been successful. I feel like reach out. You know, I'm grateful and thankful that I had that opportunity with, you know, what I now will be my mentor. But yeah, I mean, knowing now, knowing what I know, I think that it wouldn't be a bad idea to just reach out and be like, I really want to open a bar. Mm-hmm. Go talk to the owner. Go talk to the manager. Go talk to, you know what I'm saying? Or I really want to open this restaurant. Go work in one. I will never work in a restaurant again. But yeah, like that was something that I feel that also helped in a sense to know the dedication you have to put into a business. Do you know what I'm saying? So I feel like reaching out, a lot of people, and I don't want to knock on the younger generation, but I feel like they've been so like desensitized with social media and that instant gratification that they're not as open to doing that.
So was at that shop, was that the last time you were employed?
No, it wasn't the last time I was like an employee. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of salons were still very much, and still are, commission based. But so when I moved on, I went on to still be a commission based stylist, but it still was very independent to where I was managing my own funds and things like that. And then growing from there on to become a renter.
What outside the business takes up more of your time? And not saying per se, you know, on family or other pressures, but business related. That when you're not here present, what are you doing outside of these doors that is still, you know, you have to do for the business?
Aside from like working on clients and things like that.
Yeah. So when you're not here,
I think it's to constantly improve my space. where I'm like, I feel like my walls are bare. What can I do to improve it? So that's kind of where I'm at in that sense. Like, I'm constantly seeking out how I can improve my space because I need it to be comfortable as much for me as much as it is for my clients. So that's what I'm always like looking how can I improve it? How can I improve it's never ending.
Yeah.
Again, it's one of those things. So that's where my mind is at. Like I want things to be aesthetically pleasing. So I'm always looking to see where I can improve in that sense. That's where my mind's at a lot. Yeah.
No, it's fine. I mean, like you say, on the business side, you're gonna always think about it, or you're gonna always have something to do with the business. Your actions or your daily schedule. It's gonna have something to do with the business, right? So it's understandable.
Yeah.
Right? You're just always gonna be in the shit.
Right. And I think now more so because I always say this when I meet like younger stylists or younger business owners, is that I didn't know what a 401k was. I didn't know what, I didn't think about investing for my retirement. Yeah. That's something that I've been focused on as well, because it wasn't something that I started early on. Life insurance, things like that. Yeah. So that's what I'm like absorbing now, which I've started working on. But a lot of those things, because in our industry, it's not something that's commonly talked about. No. That it's possible for you to be able to have a retirement plan or like things like that. The Roth IRAs and all those things. Yeah. But they're very much possible as a, independent business owner. It's possible to do. So that's why I always say like, focus on that too. Make sure that you set yourself up so that you're not, in 30 years, arthritic and like don't have money because, you've worked so hard and,
Yeah, that puts you in a bad situation.
Correct. So that's where I'm like now when I talk to, makeup artists or anybody that's like younger and, we talk about the topic comes up, I always say like invest in your retirement, right. Seek out those outlets in order for you to set yourself up and, provide for yourself. Yeah. Yeah. So that's where I'm at now too, is aside from just, trying to, improve my space, is that I'm like seeking out like different ways to make sure that I'm taken care of later on down the line.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we're going to wrap this up, right? It's going to be a lightning round, some simple questions just to see,
okay,
get a little insight to your head a little bit.
Got it.
Right. So who do you admire and follow as influential people in business perspective? Is there somebody?
I'm going to say my coworker.
Really?
Jasmine. She's 10 years younger than me, but her brain is like wired different,
Wow.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Because she's got like a lot of like business sense in that way. Like that's just, yeah. She's, like I said, she's 10 years younger, but she's guided me through this whole thing. So yeah. Because she's still creative and finds that balance.
Yeah.
And very much so, I'm going on vacation. I don't care. Like, Yeah.
No, that's good. That's very good.
Right.
Well, I mean, obviously, working with her, you probably could pick out any bits and pieces from her mind. Like,
right. Well, both of them, honestly, like I both of them, because I feel like we have a different dynamic, but the work ethic is there, the creativity is there. Brianna's like excellent at her craft, and it's just like inspiring in sense, like I forgot that I could do things like that too. So, yeah.
Okay. What is one thing that you have benefited from social media?
That it's easy to find inspiration. Mm-hmm. I think that A lot of times, a lot of old school, like, do you have a book? Do you have pictures? Like, it's instant to find inspiration and be like, I'm saving this. I can do this. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I only ask because, of course, social media could be seen as a bad thing, but it's a good thing. But I just want to see your perspective on it.
It can be as a bad thing,
Right.
because there's that sense of like the instant gratification. Like, they don't realize that process took 12 hours. We got to bring them down and be like, no, this is nice here. Yeah, you see the pretty part of it, but then there's a lot of in between that you didn't see. Yeah. So yeah, it's good and bad. It has its pros and cons for sure.
Of course. Yeah. Any books, articles, or quotes that you recently came across you want to share?
Probably, I don't know where I heard this, but more so like everything happens for a reason, right? That's the most common thing. But I think don't doubt yourself.
Yeah.
Don't doubt your abilities. And don't second guess yourself. Like, you're way more capable than you give yourself credit for.
Mm-hmm.
It's all possible.
Good.
Yeah.
What is your definition of wealth?
Being happy. Being happy.
Yeah.
Because you can have all the money in the world and still be so unhappy. But surrounding yourself with good people and being happy and doing what you love, that's the best part of life. Yeah.
Okay, which do you choose? Coffee or tequila?
Oh my gosh. What time of day is it?
Again,
oh my gosh.
Any given time, any given day is like
okay.
have options.
Okay, so let me say this. If you would have talked to me last year, it would be tequila. However, I'm trying to be dry 2023. So I'm going to say coffee because I can't give up both. You know what I mean?
New year, new you.
Exactly. I'm really trying to like stick to that. So that was a hard one though. Gosh. Because, I'm a good time. I would just want to have fun and I want everyone to have fun, but I can be fun with coffee.
And last but not least, what advice would you give a younger you?
Wow. I think I kind of touched on that. Invest in yourself early.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Read.
Yeah.
Get as much information as you can and don't doubt yourself.
Okay.
You are way more capable than you give yourself credit for, and you can do it. No is not an option.
Yeah.
I can't is not an option. Yeah. I can't should not be in your vocabulary. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's tough, but I agree.
It's tough, but yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up this interview here with Vanessa Perez at the Beauty Lounge in Norwalk. I want to thank you very much for your time.
No, this was fun. You hear this podcast, you can reach me at nessarose.styles on Instagram, and I'll give you 20% off of your chemical service, whether it be a color or, some extensions. Just mention that you heard us on here and we can set that up for you. I am booked out like 6 to 8 weeks. So make sure that you reach out to me, and it'll run from now through June.
All right. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.
It was.